welcome to episode 24 of the Retro Gaming Dads podcast, the weekly podcast for everything retro and retro inspired. My name's Barry, and as usual, I am joined by Phil and Anthony.
Hello.
Hello there.
So, we're doing this a bit later than normal at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's been a bit hectic, hasn't it?
Yeah, we've had the 20th anniversary of the Xboxes this year. We've got a 30th anniversary for Sonic coming up soon. And of course, we're going into
and E3.
E3 at the same time.
Yeah, we've just kind of tried to fit so much in. It's just found it a little bit difficult to try and fit it all in together as easily as we would have liked it to.
Yeah, and on top of that, we even want to play some video games.
I know.
Yeah, believe it or not.
And even with all this extra time, Anthony has still not completed it.
Shut up.
That's the pot calling the kettle black right there.
Hey, I completed this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. What did we figure out that it takes 45 minutes to finish it off? If you know what you're doing?
I ran through it 3 times. I got 3 endings. And I think on average it was taking me like 3/4 of an hour to complete it. My first time did take quite a bit longer though.
Yeah, I'd say your first time's probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours.
The first time I played through it, I was literally going in every single door, and I go in a room, the music started pumping, and go, nope, and go straight back out.
What I would
Man,
say,
was
though,
gonna
is
stop this.
that 2 hours, 40 minutes completion time, a good 40 minutes of that is walking.
You was running, wasn't you?
Yeah,
Now and again, yeah, but you can't do it a lot.
I ran most of the time. I kept tripping over. I thought, stop it. She can run over. She can fall over.
I ran most of the time. And then to get back your stamina or your health or your sanity meter, I'm not sure what it is, but it seems to encompass all 3, doesn't it?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know what that meter was. I remember going to a room at one point, though, and opening a bird cage. As I opened the bird cage, this bird attacked me, knocked me all the way down to red, and then I walked out in the next room, tripped over, and got stabbed by the scissor guy. I was like, but that was me done.
Yeah, I think it's a bit odd because there's part in the game where you do get hit and it'll knock it down a stage as if it's like your health.
Yeah.
As you run, it'll also slowly degrade as if it's like a stamina. But if you see something horrific, it will knock it right down. And that's where you get to the point where you can't defend yourself or you tend to trip.
I think it's technically called mental state.
I'm not entirely sure what it's called. It reminds me a lot of... this came a lot earlier than it, but I played Eternal Darkness on the GameCube. I played that originally before this game. That was very similar, where it had your mental state, so the more horrific things you've seen and the more killing you had to do, the worse your mental state would become.
Yeah, well, that whole game was based on insanity, and you had all sorts of visions and everything and hallucinations. It was a great game,
Yeah,
man.
it really actually played with you. Have you ever heard of the game, Anthony?
I have not heard of a game, no.
Right.
Not that I can think of.
So imagine a cross between Resident Evil and Assassin's Creed, and you're probably somewhere about there.
Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, because you're
Interesting.
replaying your ancestors' memories.
Oh,
or
I thought it was with the
lives.
running, I thought you meant with like the parkour climbing up buildings. I'm like, what's
This
going
is
on?
why I was confused, because I was thinking, where the hell does Assassin's Creed come into?
Oh,
I'd say it's probably more like Resident Evil sort of game.
Yeah, that's why I put Resident Evil in the... Well, anyway, so your sanity would go, so weird things would happen. So you might see something in the distance moving, you're thinking, oh, what's that? But it's only because your character's on edge and the sanity's going. It'll go to the point, though, where like your character's head will fall off or something. But then it starts playing with the player as well. One of the things it'll do is it'll look like it crashes, but then recovers, and then it'll show your memory card screen, and it'll start deleting saves from your memory card because it says it's corrupted. And it'll just go black, and you're like, oh no, I've been playing this game for 5 hours, and like, what's gone on? And then it'll pop back on as if nothing happened. You're like, oh, you little... even it'll turn the volume
What?
up and down, and it'll have the old school little where it says vol with the triangle and all the little pips will
Yeah.
start going up and down as if someone's messing with your TV.
That's
Brilliant game.
That sounds
Yeah.
trippy.
So anyway,
That sounds horrible.
back to the game we're supposed to be talking about.
Yeah. Well, one thing to quick with this game, for some reason, I couldn't get the sound to come out of my headset. And so I was trying to get the sound working, I couldn't do. So I then walked around with no sound.
Oh, did you
I
not
mean-
play the game with sound?
I get, for some reason, the emulator wouldn't put the sound out. I get sound from everything else. For some reason, I just couldn't get it playing.
Because one thing I will say is, normally I'm not a big fan of the style of sound you tend to get on the Super Nintendo. It's very echoey quite a lot of the time. It sounds like you're listening to it in a cavern. But for this game, it absolutely added to the game.
I guess because of the style of game it is, it just made it that much more, all my days I'm going to die.
Yeah, I think any survival horror really needs the sound, because the sound plays a lot on the atmosphere and is what gets you on edge.
No, especially as I said
not having
earlier.
The sound got me on edge. I'm going around. Barry's there going to me. Oh, yeah, you can hear when he's coming. We can hear the sound. I had none of that, so I'm in the room going around. He starts appearing. I'm like, I can't go.
Oh no!
What do I do?
The music that
and then he comes over and just goes, eh.
The music that plays when he enters a room or when something's about to happen is the fundamental 80s horror slasher music, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well and truly.
Give me a second. I'll just play a bit for Anthony since he couldn't hear it.
Do you know, that sounds like a very dodgy organ/electric keyboard sort of thing.
Well,
it reminds me a lot of 80s horror movies and slashers.
Yeah,
organs tend to be pretty big in even slasher films and everything, because it gives that very churchy, eerie sound.
Because it's the massive vibration in the pipe sort of things. And it's that sort of stuff that makes you think.
I think that's kind of the effect that the Super Nintendo was very good at reproducing through audio.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, along with the sounds, obviously part of the game also the endings. Now, how many endings was there? Because you said there was quite a few, Barry.
Quite a few. I think is it 9 endings?
Yeah, I think Barry said it went from A to
S
E or more
to G, was it?
Yeah, because I think I got A, B, and G with the 3 endings I got.
So that would be about 8 endings. Because I think I got S, B, and G, I think it was.
Yeah, because we got two of the endings we got were the same. And I think one of the endings I got was similar to S, but just slightly different.
Right.
Now, I nearly did get one ending because I did climb in the car once. And she went, oh, what about the others? And then she got back out. I was like, for flip's sake, better go find the others. And went and died. And then Barry told me afterwards that you could have just gone back in and left them.
I got the car ending. That was actually the last ending that I got. So yeah, what happens is it just shows you driving off, and it just shows like an image of her, and she's driving, and you can see it from.
It's more like sort of her view, and then you've got
her view with the wing with the rear view mirror just in front of you, and then you just see these giant pair of scissors coming up in the back seats.
Oh,
and then a scream, and it cuts off.
Yeah,
you see, I had actually. So how many scissor guys is there? Because I did kill him at one point.
One.
Okay, that's fine. So when I crashed with the bookcase, I would have been fine. Because I'm walking around so panicking, thinking, I'm going to get killed.
No, see...
I'm pretty sure it was back after that.
I got rid of him once. He was chasing me, and I had to go over a plank that was over a gap in the floor. And as he came, I pulled the plank out from underneath him, and he fell down.
Okay, because after I killed him, I then went up to a place where a plank was next to the wall. I couldn't cross that bit after I'd hit him with the bookcase.
Yeah, you use the plank to... You lie the plank down.
I will lie down.
And also, considering he plays a prominent part in at least 4 of the endings, I'm presuming. Yeah, he is very much alive after you drop a bookcase on him.
Yeah.
Oh.
So what was the other ending you got, Phil?
So I got the Start the Bells. So the Billy falls off. You then...
Yes, yeah. So at the end, you escape to the clock tower.
Yeah.
And... what you do is you start up the actual mechanism, don't you? And it starts ringing the bells. Yeah, Billy holds his head and topples over the railing and plummets to his...
And then walked over, and the Browner girl was dead on the floor.
Right.
And then the mother comes out with a knife. They have a bit of a struggle. And then some crows sort of fly in and topple her off the edge.
Yes.
And then the other ending I got was similar to that, but they had a bit of a tussle with a knife, and instead she pushes the mother into the fuse box. She gets electrocuted.
Yeah, I got... they're actually the 2 endings I got, except the brown-haired girl was just unconscious, not dead.
Yeah. she was dead for me. Because then she stepped out of the clock tower in the rain, just on her own.
Right, yeah.
Should I tell you one weird way that I managed to die, and Barry was really confused and torn by this, was that I got killed by a hand reaching out of a mirror and strangling me.
Oh, I wasn't confused. I just hadn't seen that death.
Well, you
then again, you also got killed by the parrot.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you didn't get the parrot trapped in the bed sheet.
Yeah, but I just went to go and view a mirror, and as I'm looking in the mirror, this hand has come out and strangles me to death.
Because I think, is that the mirror
what?
where you need to get the perfume? Is the perfume?
I got the perfume from a box that was on the stand.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got the perfume, and then I saw I could look at the mirror, so I then looked in the mirror, and then just died.
You need the perfume so you can get past the dog to go and meet Donald.
Yeah. You show me. I saw an image of Donald, and it was horrifying.
Like another Donald in the world.
Who needs that? Thankfully, you dropped napalm on him.
Just burn my life.
He's not really in it for more than 10, 15 seconds,
you open the curtains, he's there. He gives a bit of a chase.
You put your head in through the curtains. There's this horrible scream that, again, the game's very good at doing. And then he's revealed in all his glory.
One thing that gets me about this is the amount of different ways you can either see the other characters, in how when they're dead, or how the ending is. So even though this game's only 40, 45 minutes when you play it through, when you know what you're doing, there's a lot of different ways to do it. It's not all going to be the same. So thinking about it, surely this game could take a few hours to get everything you want to see.
Oh yeah, to get all of the endings, you're probably talking a good 20 hours worth of playtime. Thereabouts.
I don't think that much, especially once you know.
Well, maybe not, I suppose. Once you know what you're doing, yeah, probably will cut it down quite a bit. But still, for a game, as games were reviewed back then, its replay value, I'd say, is actually pretty high.
Yeah,
I would say so. Because the amount of times, even though I did die, fair few times, I still just jumped back on and carried on. So it's not one of those that you'll just die and be like, stuff it.
What I will say though is the controls. Trying to play a point-and-click game on a controller. No thanks.
Oh, I just use a keyboard. And it was easy as.
I think you're on about not being able to use a mouse.
Yeah.
Which would be a shame because there was actually a mouse available for the Super Nintendo. Don't know if this works with it or not, though.
If it did, it'd probably play a lot better with it because there was times where I got so fed up of clicking to walk here, walk slowly over, press the light switch, and then she'd turn around and walk away a little bit. And then
that was
have to click something else, and then she'd walk over to that way.
Yeah, she had to go back to this point where she'd left, and you're like, why couldn't you just take 2 steps and just stop?
The first time that I came across Billy, when you open the curtains,
it took so flipping long to get out.
And I'm there running back and fumbling with the door, and it's like, why are you just walking slowly to the door?
She doesn't even touch it. She just runs over and just stops and stands still, and then just goes.
I personally
evil in that regard, isn't it?
I personally was fumbling with the door, like open the freaking door.
I'm then mashing the button, going, get out of the door. You're like, it's getting closer. Just open the door. She's just stood there looking at it, going, how do I open the door? Is it the handle? Is it? And then she goes, oh, hang on a second. I remember how to open the door. Handle. Yeah, it's quite frustrating at times because you're there panicking to get out and you're like, just freaking run. But it definitely puts you on edge, that game, I feel.
I never had an issue with it actually fumbling to open the door. I just thought it was very reminiscent of Resident Evil, the way she'd sprint over to the door with someone with giant scissors about to impale her from behind. And she'll just stop and then just casually open the door, open it, step through. And I'm like, just move.
When I say fumble, I don't mean she was fumbling with the door. No, it was me.
Oh, right, sorry.
That was the problem.
Right.
Oh, see, I never clicked the door. I was hitting the run siders button and she just did it herself. I never had to click on the door.
Yeah, you see, that time I didn't realise that was a button.
Okay. I found that very quickly when I was in the keybind. I was like, what does that button do? Loaded in, pressed it. I was like, oh, that's handy.
See, I must admit, originally, I didn't even know that you could, if you didn't do anything, she'd just have a sit down, relax, center herself a bit, and regain her sanity meter.
I'm guessing, by the way, that Anthony just threw up his hands. He didn't know either.
No.
Well, he only found out when you mentioned it, like, a couple of days ago in the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you tried to delete your message so that he couldn't find us. He'd seen it too quick.
Darn. But if you're a fan of those sorts of games, I reckon it's a game that you'd enjoy. I'm not a huge fan of point-and-click games. It must be said.
I am. Well, it depends on the game, I guess. Because there's some point-and-click games where it might be point-and-click, but it's not quite like that. I mean, to me, thinking about it right now, RuneScape is a point-and-click game, and I wouldn't consider...
What game?
RuneScape.
RuneScape's not point-and-click.
Not
You don't
that
walk
type
around
of...
the keyboard. You point the
Not,
mouse
yeah,
click
not
where you
that. I
want
wouldn't
to
call
walk and
that
go.
point and click. Same way I wouldn't call Diablo point and click.
Yeah, Diablo's not a point-and-click game.
I'd
you
say
click
games
with your
like
mouse to
Sam
move.
and Max or Monkey Island series.
Because you use your mouse to click and select everything you're doing. I'd say it's definitely a point-and-click game.
No, point and
well, in
click
that
is a very,
case,
very
so is Command and
specific sort of
Conquer.
game.
I wouldn't say Command
Yeah.
and Conquer or Subcom's Supreme Commander is a point and click.
Point and
either.
click is a very, very specific type of puzzle game.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
I wonder if
So you
you've
don't
never
know about
actually
it.
played any point and click games before.
Anyway,
I
back to the
definitely
sub-
wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't call RuneScape point and click.
No, I wouldn't either. Yeah, so it was an enjoyable enough game. The puzzles, thankfully, weren't quite as crazy as the likes of Sam and Max, Monkey Island,
Oh god,
Broken Sword.
there's still that puzzle in Monkey Island. I think it involved a hamster. That I cannot remember how I figured it out.
I don't know if anyone knows how they ever figured out, apart from just going, I'll click on that item and click on that thing. That didn't
Yeah.
work. I'll click on that item and click on that thing.
Go through every different action.
Yeah. Monkey Island has some bonkers puzzles. Wasn't the one
No.
involving going behind a portrait and looking through the portrait to then do something else? And it just
I
went weird.
can't remember. I really can't remember. It's been
Sam
a
and
long
Max,
time.
That hasn't had a recent remaster.
I
I
think
don't
so.
know how recent.
I mean, recent enough, I suppose.
Recent-ish.
I keep thinking
Yeah.
things are recent and they're like a decade ago.
No, I think it was like maybe I'm not. I'll have to double check it, but it was relatively recent. And I think they redid it with Day of the Tentacle.
See, one thing with this game that I found, obviously, you know about the stamina, the state of mind, that went malarkey. I remember going to a room at one point. It was in like a kitchen, and I could see a fridge that you could, on the other side, there was a crate you could climb up into, like a grill. And I go over, I start trying to climb up, and as I'm in the middle of trying to climb over, I'm struggling to get over, and then the scissor guy walks on the side. I'm like, flip, pull yourself up, and then she flops to the floor. And he's walking across the wall and I'm mashing the button saying, get up, get over the fridge. And she's just going, no. I was like, oh, great. And they're going to die.
I guess I'll die then.
Well, there was one room that I went into and there was a hole in the ceiling. I was looking at it thinking, something's got to drop down from there, I can tell. And I'm going around searching, and just out the corner of my eye, I see something. And as I look up, I'm like, did I see something or didn't I? And I just sat there for a minute just watching it, think, nope, nothing did. And just as I went to look away, I just saw Billy's head pop out, look around and go back up.
Yeah, I know the room you're on about. It's where you
I'm
get to
like,
stick out the bar, isn't it?
no. So I ran out the room and I was thinking, it didn't drop down, but just seeing his little head pop out and just look around just kind of like put me on edge, thinking he's going to drop down now. And he never did. So then there was this.
He did for me.
Oh, he didn't for me.
Yeah, when I went through, picked up the stick out the vase, and as I was heading back, he dropped out.
Oh no, I got the thing out the vase. Yeah,
dropped
I
out
must
for
have,
me.
because I used it later on to go down the.
Yeah, you put it in the other stick to get the ladder down, don't
Yeah.
you, to go and see Donald?
Yeah, he did. I'm sure he didn't drop down, but I was on edge, and because he didn't actually drop down, there was like no release of like all the anxiety that was building up. So I was on edge for even longer then.
That's one thing this game does very well is the suspense and you are scared because of how slow you do walk, how long it takes
Yeah.
to do things, and you'll go around and you're clicking stuff in the room, and I mean, for the entire time I'm clicking around the room and I'm going, at any time it could start.
No.
I could get attacked.
I have a question for Barry on this game.
Go on.
Did you pick it because of the psychopath's family surname?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know the names, actually, to be honest, till I was halfway through the game.
When you pointed out, I thought it was quite funny.
When I originally played this game, I only played about 20, 30 minutes of it. And
Right.
now I realise how close to the end that was.
Yeah. You probably could have got a fair way through it in that sort of time.
Yeah, well, I say I could probably complete the game in about half an hour to 40 minutes with a good ending.
But yeah, picking a game where the psychopaths have my surname. Cheers for that.
Maybe it's something
Speaks
to do with
volumes
the
for you,
name.
doesn't it, Phil?
Well, it's slightly different. There's an S on the end of it. It's not an S on the end of mine.
Maybe they're just talking plurals.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Although, in all fairness, do you actually see the husband? I don't
No.
think I saw him in the game.
Oh, from what
I only saw, was it Mary, the wife?
You see the wife.
Yes.
You definitely
You see
see
at the
both
start walk
kids.
The husband isn't the scissor guy, is it?
No, that's one of the kids. The two kids are Donald and Billy. He's not actually called Donald.
Okay.
He's called something else, but
Yeah.
he's been christened Donald now. I don't recall seeing. Obviously, you find the main character's father, but you don't find their father that much.
So you play as an orphan who's been adopted by this family, and you actually find out that your dad's corpse is in this mansion.
Oh.
He was actually a doctor who helped deliver the two kids, one of which is Scissor Guy, and one is Donald. And I think it actually says that doesn't one of them, as he's delivering them, bites off your dad's hand.
It's something like that. Yeah, they're already like monstrous children as they've been given birth.
So they end up barricading him into a room and basically bricking up the door so he can't get out. And he just suffocates in this room, doesn't he?
Yeah. Horrible way to go.
This is twisted.
Yeah. It's...
When I first started playing it, I wasn't quite sure on... Because of the style of game it was, I'm there going, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. I wasn't quite sure. And I played it through and died once. I'm like, I'm still not sure. And then when I played it again and again and again, I'm like, actually, I'm quite enjoying it.
It's one of those games where it's very much any point and click game, really. It's about the puzzles. It's about the story.
Yeah.
It's not about anything else.
Yeah.
The thing that I'd say Clock Tower does particularly well is the atmosphere. It gives a really good atmosphere, and it actually leaves you on edge. Like Barry was saying, when the head's popping down and he's looking around the room, there's a lot of tension there. A lot of it leaves you on edge.
I was terrified the entire time playing it. I'm just like creeping around. I just remember going through a door at one point, and as I walk through the door, Scissor comes out of the window in the top, like, on top of someone else stabbed him as they crushed down on the floor in front of me. I was like, oh my days, just ran the other way.
See, in one of my playthroughs, that never happened. I actually found her in a pool being drowned, and as she gets pulled under the water, and as she kneel next to the water to try and pull her out, says a guy, Billy, whatever his name, jumps out at you.
Creepazoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely... It seems like if you go through in different ways, different things happen in different places. And I'm wondering how much that ties into the multiple endings.
Yeah. Well, I think a fair amount. When I played through it and she survived, I didn't actually go to certain areas where I'd seen her die previously, or at least not at the same point. So I don't know if the game's a bit like a Schrodinger's cat, where, they're both in a state of being alive and have been murdered. And you have to actually observe it for it to make sure it picks one of the two states. So if you don't find them dead, then by default they must have survived.
For anyone, possibly including Anthony, who doesn't understand this reference, Schrodinger was a psychologist who had this theory. Well, it was that as well. He had this theory where, well, it wasn't so much a theory. He had this idea where what he did is he put this cat in a box and filled the box with poison. He then sealed the box.
Yeah, it's a vial of poison that may or may not have broken to kill the cat.
Yeah. So both simultaneously alive, yet dead. And you can only confirm it by opening the box.
So without a conscious observer, it's in both states, is what I think he was saying. Where
okay.
Yeah, that was his hypothesis.
No, yeah.
But that's where the reference comes from.
I think the playthrough where she survived, the only one I found was I think it was the blonde girl. Oh, I found, is it Lottie as well? She was just before when I met Donald.
I'm trying to think if I saw her. I think I might.
When you go past the dog.
Yeah.
She was on the floor there.
Oh, yeah, she was.
But the blonde one I actually found in the bathroom, I think it was.
Yeah, that's
so you walk in and there's like a bathroom with a shower curtain over it and you can hear drip, drip, drip. Yeah, you go in and she's all strung up. And you're like, oh no, and like it's like, oh no, she's dead. And then these pair of scissors come up out the bathroom.
It's like,
shit.
Isn't it like 2 very slow frames of like, you see part of the scissors?
It's a couple of frames.
There's some more scissors.
Yeah.
And it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Though I can definitely see where Resident Evil got a lot of its inspiration.
I actually don't think it got much inspiration from this because there was only about 5 or 6 months between this launching and Resident Evil launching.
Oh, right. Fair enough.
They were very, very close together.
I suppose it's because that idea of a creepy old mansion, possibly. It's just there was a lot of the rooms and the styles of the rooms between the two games that I thought they're quite similar.
See, the thing is that if you think about horror games back then where they were quite like this and horror games now will make you poop yourself.
I feel like a lot of horror games now fall into one of two categories, and this definitely falls in one of those as well. There's either just loads of jump scares, so something like Fear.
Yeah.
If you ever played that the amount of jump scares in it, but I felt like by the end of it, I was either anticipating them or just wasn't as fazed by them.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the one that keeps you on edge because you're so ill-equipped to handle anything at all. Not necessarily just the big evil thing in the game, but anything at all.
I think Alien Isolation did a good job of that.
Exactly.
Yes,
Something
it makes
like
you
Alien
paranoid
Isolation
all the time as well. You know, you're always scared of when it's going to come from, where you're going to see it, and you don't know what's going to happen. And you know, Alien Isolation, not gonna lie, that was a terrifying game at some points.
But it's the best sort of horror game, the one that actually leaves you on edge, thinking, "Can I handle this? No, I can't. I'm going to go hide in a locker."
that was my problem. Alien Isolation, when the alien comes and you hide under a desk or in a locker or something, and the alien's coming up and it's like looking at you, and you're in the locker and you think, oh no, it knows me. And then it comes up to the locker and you go, oh no, 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 no. And then it kind of like turns its head and walks off. And then you see it disappear through like a ventilation shaft or something.
Yeah.
There's that build up of being anxious and, well, quite fearful. But then when it goes to the release, like, oh, right, I've survived it for now. That's what I was saying before. When I was expecting Billy to come out and get me, and he didn't,
Yeah.
I was just on edge for a lot longer than I would have normally been.
But yeah, I don't think enough horror games take that psychological horror path. And instead, it's the same with horror movies. Horror movies don't really do the psychological horror anymore like they used to.
Yeah.
It tends to be, here is a big monster. It's going to cause a lot of bloodshed and mayhem and mess.
You want the thing that makes your heart pound, that really gets your blood going. You're like, oh my.
So going back to the game, how do you guys feel it aged? How much would you give it out of 10?
Well, considering I've give every other game a 2 out of 10 for some reason or another, since no, I would probably say a 4 or 5.
Okay.
I don't think it's aged very well, just because of the controls. Although, in all fairness, I think it probably had issues with the controls back in the day. The atmosphere it creates and the story it tells are good. I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
I agree with Barry, and I was going to go along the same lines of, you know, like a 5 or a 6. So again, I'm going to sit with a 5 because, like I said, the controls haven't aged. I mean, I guess I know the style of the game it was, and the controls you had was limited then. But you know, playing it nowadays is a bit fiddly.
Yeah.
With it, and it's a bit difficult to grasp with. But again, the game did really well. It played really well. Again, similar to what Barry said, it hasn't aged perfectly, I guess. And not many stuff does, but again, 5 out of 10, I think, is definitely reasonable for this game.
I can't really disagree with that. It's middle of the road is probably about right for it. What I would say is I'm not a fan of horror. I'm not a fan of point and clicks. So it's probably not my sort of game generally. That said, if this is the sort of game that you'd enjoy, aka a horror game or a point-and-click game, you'll enjoy it. It's got a good story. The controls are wonky. Not going to disagree in that point at all. And I'd say 5-6. If it's a game that you reckon you'd enjoy and get your teeth into, it'd probably go a little bit higher. But middle of the road's about right. I'd say, though, age-wise, apart from the controls, which, as Barry said, even back in the day of the SNES, the controls weren't great. I'd say it's aged pretty well because it still gives you that heartbeat and intensity, that scare factor that you want from a horror game. And I'd say that's the important beats of it. So I'd actually say it's aged quite well.
Well, this was actually the first game in a series. So there is actually 3 other titles in the series across the PlayStation and PlayStation 2 as well.
Right.
I was just having a quick look. The first 3 titles in the series are all point and click.
Right.
And the 4th one, it says, is a pure survival horror game. So I don't know how much that deviates from the first ones, but perhaps the PlayStation versions do control a little bit better.
Maybe.
Yeah, might use the thumbstick a little bit more than just the D-pad.
Well, the original PlayStation didn't have a thumbstick.
Oh, no, I didn't, sorry. No, you're right.
So, overall, did you enjoy your time with it?
While it wasn't my sort of game, just said, I did enjoy it.
Yeah, whilst it was constant suspense of, when's he going to come and kill you? So, yeah, you, me, regardless. Again, I did enjoy it.
And just to clarify, because we're giving it 5, 6 out of 10, you're doing it as 5 is a okay game.
Yeah, 5 is a totally acceptable playable game. It's middle of the road.
It's just nothing exceptional, but at the same time, it's not a bad game either.
Precisely, yeah. I think if it had a better control scheme, it would probably push it further towards a 7 or an 8.
Had the game allowed you to have direct control over the character, or even use the mouse that was available at this point for the Super Nintendo, I do think it would have improved the score, but I think only by a point. So I probably would have given it like somewhere around 6 out of 10 rather than 5. I don't think the control helped the game, but I don't think it irreparably done damage to the game's score either. If anything, I think it actually probably did lend itself to this type of game because it made you panic a lot more as well. As you said earlier, trying to open the bloody door.
Yeah, fumbling with the door, yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, next month's game, or this month's now, is Anthony's choice, which was...
Perfect Dark.
I'm looking forward to killing Anthony.
Well,
trying to play through the single player
we not long had a games night, didn't we? Which we mentioned last episode as well. I did actually want to play through a bit of Perfect Dark and do the counter-operative mode with Anthony as well.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
We might be able to do it online, you never know.
You can do it online.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like you two stuffed me over.
Oh, well and truly. I mean...
Well, we can play some multiplayer as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, laptop gun. And what was the one that could see through walls?
Oh, yeah, the one with the infrared. What I was going to say is the one thing this had over GoldenEye, you could have bots.
Yeah, you could. And the other thing it had over GoldenEye is no odd job, so Phil didn't ruin it.
True, it's true. I was the guy that went odd job, or the monkey.
Monkey? There was no monkey in GoldenEye.
No, I was thinking of Time Splitters.
Oh, right.
For the monkey.
Right.
So, this month's game is Perfect Dark. So I get a playthrough, and obviously I know I'm going to get killed by you two by quite a bit on that, but let's just see how this goes. And I can only tell from the look of your two faces that you're going to enjoy this game.
It's a good game. It's been a long time since I've played this, though.
Yeah.
In fact, the last time I actually played Perfect Dark, was on the N64 just after I found out there was a dual analog control scheme for it, which involved using two N64 controllers.
Oh, right.
So how awkward was that?
Yeah.
I used to, instead of going to college, I used to play this and GoldenEye pretty much every day.
You used to do everything except go to college.
It's true. It's very true.
Well, that's it for this episode. If you'd like to see more information on anything mentioned during this podcast, you can visit us at retrogamingdads.co.uk. You can also support the podcast and get ad-free episodes at patreon.com/retrogamingdads. We've been the Retro Gaming Dads, and we'll see you next week.